Well, it's Friday, and you all know what that means. That means we got AEW Rampage. We have two title matches taking place. Of course, the New Japan Strong Openweight title is defended. We also got the AEW World Trios titles, and we got two other matches taking place. This is, of course, another go home show before this Sunday's WrestleDream, so anything could happen before then. But also, we're going to see who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up. Now, first things first, we're going to review Stardom with their much recent event. This is their last before the finals of Stardom's 5-star Grand Prix. As we speak, it should happen right now in Japan. But by the time this video is already out, the show already happened, and I won't be reviewing it until later on. So we're going to see how far this show goes. We only have one match involving in the 5-star Grand Prix for this particular day that took place back on the 24th of September. So we'll see what happens until then. And of course, we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events are being posted out, who's booked, what matches are set, any wrestlers that are departing from their promotion, or any signed wrestlers, injured wrestlers, the whole enchilada. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay right here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of daily reviews from various promotions in the world. Not only here in the States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where wrestling is not big, but is growing. We also do some discussion videos. We have some news updates, new stuff alerts, the Unagi Saga, and various other things we do here on this channel. So if you like what you see, please subscribe on the subscribe button. We'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and of course other videos we'll throw in. And of course, if you like this episode, please give us a like, click on the like button, or leave us a comment down below. So let's begin with our very first review. This is from the Joshi Promotions Stardom. Now, this is their last show before we head to the finals of the 5-star Grand Prix taking place real soon. Now, we're going to start with the non-matches involving this particular day. Our first match is a singles match. We have Waka Tsukiyama taking on Hanan. As you know, this is a very interesting matchup. Now, Waka was not involved in the 5-star crimp. Hana has only had one win. However, this is a very interesting matchup because recently we have seen how members of Club Venus, which of course Waka is involved, are trying to sucker in Hanan to join the group, since she and Mariah May have been becoming very close because they're both future aces in their own way. Hana has been declared as the future ace of Stardom, while Mariah May has been declared as the foreign ace. So that sets it up. But however, it was a pretty good match, but Hanan picked up a very impressive win towards Waka when she applied the 17. Now our next match, we have a three-way match. We have Yuna Mizumori versus Koguma and versus Saki Kashima. Now, of course, Saki Kashima will try to play dirty tricks, but the one person they need to be more careful is Koguma, who likes to play her role as, try to play dirty, like certain tricks on everyone. However, in this case, it was, of course, Koguma who picked up the win when she applied the Kuma roll onto Mizumori. However, during the post-match, as you know, I mentioned this, Koguma has pinned Saki Kashima before, but she does have an opportunity to cash in in a chance of the high-speed title. As you know, in October 9th, a week after the um, the five-star Grand Prix finals, we're going to Saki Kashima defends her belt against Mei Seira. But however, we'll see what happens then. I'm sure Kashima does not want to face her, but Koguma is the winner. Our next match, we have a very interesting tag match. We have Hanako teaming up with Megasis herself, Megan Bane. They take on the strong duo of Mei Seira and Zuzu Suzuki. Now, we know that Megan has teamed up with both Mei Seira and Zuzu on countless occasions. However, I was always however, they know exactly how strong Megan can be. So they tried to avoid her as much as possible. However, it was Zuzu Suzuki who picked up the win by submission when she applied the Yokubun lock onto Hanako to win. However, the post match was very interesting. Megan Bane got in the face of Zuzu, but however, Zuzu reminded her that she and her, along with Micah, are challenging for the artist belt. So basically, they're saying, look, this is just a match that anybody could win. But however, you and I have an opportunity to win the artist belt. So basically, of course, Megan kept her cool, saying, okay, you're right. But I'm not happy that we lost. So basically, they understood each other. Now, our next match is the one match only involved in the five-star Grand Prix. This is part of the Red Star block. We have Starlight Kid versus Studi. Now, like any other match, of course, Starlight Kid attacked Studi, as always, tried to get a head start. However, she even tried to apply her submission moves onto Studi. Now, keep in mind, Studi does have submission tactics, which is very impressive in her own right. However, Starlight Kid has pulled off many of those submissions before, but it didn't do any well for her when, of course, it was Studi who applied the Ruyin on her and picked up the win. And of course, in the post match, we still don't know what's the fate of Studi after this match. There is the strong possibility she could not make it all the way to the end. That's what many people are currently thinking, or that's the analyzation from Scott Edwards from Fightful and Voices Wrestling. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, we have tag team action. We have Oedo Tai consistent of Ruka and Natsuko Tora taking on Club Venus's Mariah May and, of course, Mina Shirakawa. Now, of course, like any other type, we do see Oedo Tai try to play dirty tricks on this, but unfortunately, that did not happen in this case. It was, of course, Mina who applied a figure four leg lock onto Ruka, and Ruka had no other choice but to tap out, knowing she had nowhere to escape. Our next match, which is our main event, we have tag team action. We have Stars consistent of Saya Ida and, of course, Azuki taking on DDM's Micah and Julia. So, but however, the most interesting factor of this match is Saya Ida and Julia. Now, Julia has always been proven how strong she can be, but also Saya Ida. But unfortunately, Saya Ida ended up on the wrong side of the glorious driver by Julia and picked up the win. And during the post match, Julia said that she would like to have more one-on-one matches with her. So basically, you're seeing a bit of the strongness. But I wouldn't be surprised if Julia convinces Saya Ida to leave Stars and join a real team that's all about being strong. That's always been DDM's MO. The strongest will survive. That's always been the case. But we'll see what happens. But however, we still don't know the fate of what Micah and Julia will happen. Now keep in mind, Micah is one of some people are considering that she could win, but we don't know. Julia, well, there's those who don't believe that maybe Julia will win back to backs. There's already been analyzations from various other people that believe that certain ways could happen, but we will see as the finals will pass on. We'll see. And also on record, I haven't seen New Blood 11 yet because there was one match I definitely was looking forward to see, and you probably can guess it. But we'll get to that at some point. But as of right now, we'll end things with Stardom in this moment. Let's move on with AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Rampage. It opened up with the AEW World Trios Championship. We have Brother Zay and the Hardys take on the Acclaim and Daddy Ass. Now, you probably would think it would have been a very impressive match. It is. I mean, there's nothing story-wise that fits into this thing, but I have to say it was a solid match. Not impressive, but solid in my opinion. But it was, of course, Anthony Bowens that picked up the win on Brother Zay. 1, 2, 3. They retain the titles. Now, as you know, Eddie Kingston will defend both his belts at WrestleDream. But however, on Rampage, he is set to defend the New Japan Strong Openweight title against Rocky, someone he highly respects. However, it appears that Jay Lethal, who is a former ROH World Champion, makes him sick to his stomach. Along with the dickwads, they're seeing Eddie Kingston, who is in fact the ROH World Champion. Now, he doesn't seem to care about the New Japan Strong title. He only cares about the world title. He feels that a guy like Eddie Kingston doesn't have any honor. However, of course, Eddie Kingston has that laugh saying, honor, you gotta be kidding me. So I think that kind of questions Lethal's, his actions. Keep in mind, Lethal has been cutting corners the entire time since aligned himself with the Dickwads. So we'll see what happens then. He doesn't seem like he's too interested. But however, Eddie Kingston does defend his belt against Asuka Rocky Romero. Now keep in mind, Rocky does represent New Japan. So the obvious thing is, could he bring this title back to New Japan? That's a pretty good question. However, of course, Rocky Romero will try to divert every move that Eddie Kingston would throw in, but it took a couple of back fists to put him away. But you probably would have assumed that Eddie would have applied the Northern Light bombs, but however, that wasn't the case. He applied the stretch plum, forcing Rocky to tap out. And of course, in the end, he got respect from Rocky Romero, and Rocky gave respect back to him. Now, in the post-match, we have Katsuyori Shibata, the challenger, who will be be challenging for both Eddie's titles. However, keep in mind, Katsuyori Shibata is the current ROH Pure Wrestling Champion. That title is not on the line at WrestleDream. So we will see what happens until then. Now, as you know, in WrestleDream, we do have the AEW World Tag Team titles defended. Aussie Open, who has been going back and forth with FTR in the past. FTR has been declared as the best tag team in the world. But Aussie Open, who feels that they're sick and tired of the FTR, who's been at the top. They felt that they are. So they're confident enough to believe that they will walk out WrestleDream as the AEW World Tag Team Champions. We will see what happens until then. So we'll find out. Now, you can call this a squash match. We have the Righteous, consistent of Vincent and Butch or Dutch, taking on Caleb Crush and Gunner. Now, I could say this is a squash match because it didn't do any good, but it was the Autumn Sunshine by by Vincent to put away Gunner. 1, 2, 3, it's over. So basically, they're sending a clear message to MJF saying that he's a liar and a fraud. But we will see what happens till then. So we'll just wait. Now, as you know, with the situation with Christian Cage and Darby Allin raises on, Nick Wayne had some words to say. He feels about what's been going on. He doesn't think that he should be out there supporting Darby Allin, knowing that Christian Cage will try to get into his head. However, he seems like he still has some unspoken finished business with none other than Luchasaurus. He questioned him. You were the TNT champion, but you're allowing Christian to carry the belt for you, saying that he's the champion? So basically, he said he hasn't forgotten at All In that he was chokeslammed through a skateboard. So he tells him a debt needs to be repaid. And of course, Nick Wayne has his own skateboard. But we will see what happens till then. Now, ahead before we get to WrestleDream, Zack Sabre Jr. already arrived in the United States before we head there. However, he does believe that he will make Bryan Danielson retired, knowing that this will be his last stop before his little so-called wrestling retirement tour. But we will see until then what happened. Now, our next match, this is part of a stipulation that will lead to Tuesday Dynamite on October 10th. That will be for the AEW World Women's Championship. We have Ruby Soho versus Hikaru Shida. Now, Saraya was not involved in this match, in case anybody asked. But, however, in this case, there were some moments where, of course, Ruby was trying to use the kendo stick. It backfired thanks to Paul Turner, the referee. Then Ruby Soho tried the spray can. Didn't work either. But, however, it did took a moment where, of course, when the ref did not see, Hikaru Shida used the kendo on Ruby Soho. She tried a katana, but however, Aubrey Edwards shows up to help to make the count. But it took another katana by Hikaru Shida to put away Ruby Soho, heading all the way to Tuesday Dynamite. And of course, Saraya was right there to watch. And as you know, they will be seeing each other soon enough. So I think that's pretty much it right now with AEW Rampage. Let's move on with NXT Level Up. Okay, so who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up? Let's find out. Our first match, we have Fallon Henley taking on the return of Ariana Grace. Now, we haven't seen her for quite some time now. It was later revealed that she was out doing like this Miss Canadian or Canada beauty pageant or something like that. But the story they put that she was injured. Of course, I had this feeling they probably would put her in NXT Level Up for the time being because, of course, she was out for quite some time. But the obvious question is, could Ariana pick up a win? Well, the obvious that it did not do any help for Ariana because Fallon Henley has been leveling up for quite some time, been showing up on NXT Level Up, but she did pick up a very good win when she rolled her up. 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our interview before our next match that involves, we have Riley Osborne. As you know, Riley Osborne had an impressive match against Big Body Javier Bernard recently a while back. However, his opponent that he will be facing is Miles Bourne. Of course, he feels like the NXT that the WWE fans or the NXT universe is ready for a guy like him. But however, he has to face a guy who we all saw what happened. He turned his back on Jensen and Brooks, sold them out, and now he has to prove why he's there. Now, you probably would have assumed that Riley would have picked up a very upset, but unfortunately, since Miles Bourne sided with Gulak, Kemp, and Dempsey, it paid off for him on his own benefit. But it did apply for him when he utilized a submission onto Riley Osborne to force him to tap out, giving Miles Kemp the win. However, will Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs will get their revenge? They probably will, but we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match is our main event, Oro Mensah taking on Tavion Heights. You probably think this match was going to be impressive. Tavion Heights, who has a collegiate background, however, he does have a very good, impressive win that he had, but he's facing guys with a bit more of experience. But it was Oro Mensah who picked up a win when he applied like a somewhat of a short version of a thrust kick that just was close range while Tavion Heights was on his knees. So we'll see what happened. So it picked up and Oro Mensah picked up a good win. However, I'm sure that Oro Mensah will try to play moral support this coming Saturday when he faces, of course, when his buddy Noam Dar faces against none other than Butch. But we'll see what happens on No Mercy. And I think that's pretty much it right now with NXT Level Up. Let's move on to our last and final thing, news updates. welcome to our news update. So this is what we have so far. Now, if you guys aren't familiarized with this Twitter page called Lucha Blog, as you know, I mentioned that there's going to be some sort of an alliance starting in October between MLW and CML New Japan. However, MLW were determined to send Jacob Fatu to CML, but however, Fatu has been unable to travel for some circumstances, but we just don't know yet. There have been questionings going around with MLW's recent alliance in the past, such as AAA and the Crash, but we will see what happens until then. Now, New Japan has announced for their upcoming event in November for Lone Star in Garland, Texas. The IWGP Women's Championship will be defended finally for a while. Mayu Iwatani will defend it. Now, the opponent has not been named just yet. Now, if I was a betting man, I would assume that the opponent will be someone here in the States. That's something I would definitely think about. Now, European promotion known as RCW Spain has announced for their next participation for the World Cup 4 that takes place on the 21st of October. They announced Sarah Leone, who's of course an American from here in the States, will be participating. Wrestling Revolver has announced for the Revolver Redemption on the 8th of October. The Revolver World title will be defended. Jay Chris defends his title against Ortiz. So that's going to be a very interesting match to watch. West Coast Pro has announced for the West Coast 5 show taking place on the 14th of October. The West Coast Wrecking Crew has issued an open challenge. Now, we don't know who will respond to it. Hopefully, somebody will respond to it. Spark Joshi Puroresu of America has announced for the Rising Heat West show on the 11th of October. They announced a match between Maya Yuhiki versus Trish Adora, and I'm bummed out. I'm a big fan of Maya Yuhiki. I love her. I wish I could have gone to the LA Dojo for that. Damn it. Anyway, moving on. The House of Glory announced for the Friday the 13th event on the October 13th. We have Santana versus Rocky Romero. That's going to be a good match to enjoy. Now, Wrestling Observer has confirmed a little something that coming in. As you know, Jade Cargill has signed a multi-year contract with WWE. However, the information they received as WWE creative team are working round the clock to create stories for Jade Cargill once she arrived. Now, I did mention this. Is there a possibility that she'll be heading to NXT or the main roster? To me, I felt that she will be heading to the main roster. Looks like it's now been confirmed by Wrestling Observer. She will be heading to the main roster. That's something I'm very happy to hear. So, now, Prestige Wrestling announced for their Decimate the Week on the 12th of October. 2 matches have been announced. We have Mio Momono from Marvelous taking on Liza Hall. And of course, her teammate and of course part of the Marvelous roster, the ace of Marvelous, Takumi Iroha, will be there too. She'll be facing against Sandra Moon, who is of course currently in training in Japan, touring with Marvelous. That's going to be awesome to hear. Now, on October 10th, now our GCW events. On October 10th for the World on GCW in Corkin Hall. On October 12th for Corkin Hall, we have the GCW Tag Team titles defended. The current champions, Zazaki and Sugiura, will defend it against Los Macizos. Can the Macizos become 4-time Tag Team champions? Well, we'll see. Now, Matt Cardona has been announced that he will participate at the St. Louis show, Please Buddy, on the 11th of November. Now, for Nick Gage makes his return to GCW. He will be involved in the Atlanta show for See or No on the 4th of November. I think that's pretty much it, what we have for our news updates and everything else. So I think it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have the Unagi Sayaka Watch. We have 3 reviews one involving the latest Yoshi promotion that took place back on the 21st, which Sukeban, where Unagi is involved, and of course her recent participations with Marvelous and upcoming matches, and her YouTube activities that she's been doing as well. And of course, for our next episode, we will feature, of course, more with Choco Pro, the Road to Destruction by New Japan, and of course, we have that AEW Collision, No Mercy, and of course the finals of the 5-star Grand Prix. So basically, this weekend is going to be chaotic. So it's gonna be awesome to get that going. So we'll see how that will rolls up. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.